Hello friends. So what we're going to work on today is decimals, but we're not going to do all decimals at once. We're going to kind of split it off into two videos. This video is going to be about identifying decimals, which is going to be page 23 in our booklet, and then how decimals are related to fractions, and that is page 18 and 19, and page 35 and 36. So we have to skip around just a little bit. What I want us to start with first is just a quick mental review. So if you just have a little piece of paper and maybe just make a couple lines, 1, 2, 3, decimal point, 1, 2, 3. So if you take a moment and just fill in what you know about these 3 lines, we'll throw an extra one in there. These 3 lines, that decimal point, and these 3 lines. Okay, so hopefully these are the kind of marks that I would see on your paper. This means and it is a decimal point. This is, its base 10 value is decimal point 1, decimal point 0.01, decimal point 0.001. This value is 1, 10, 100, 1,000. Names, this is tenths. Notice the THS, hundredths. Thousands. Here we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. If any of this sounds confusing to you, then go and watch my previous video. That was a bonus video on place value. Some additional thoughts that I would like you to write, make sure you have down, is this means parts of a whole. In this direction, these are all whole numbers. Something else you can add. Say you have, like to compare decimals to money. It seems that's something that a lot of people, almost everyone, can relate to. If I have $3.49 and I had to explain this, you would say, I have 3 whole dollars and 49 cents of the next dollar. So this statement just supports that these are parts of a whole. If you counted out 49 pennies, you would only have part of my next dollar. I only have 49 cents of the 4th possible dollar I could have. Okay? So keep going over and making think tracks like this. You know, make quick little place value charts for yourself. Jot down what you know, and then come back to this at the end of a lesson and fill in more information that you will learn. So we'll come back to it at the end. Okay, so again, we're going to talk about identifying decimals on page 23 first, and then decimals, how decimals relate to fractions, page 18, 19, 35, and 36. Okay, so let's start with page 23. Okay, so let me zoom in just a little. This is just your basic page just to remind you of what your place values are. Okay, your main chart is right up here. Okay, look at it, highlight it. You know, doesn't take anything just for you to recreate it really quick. Make those think tracks. Here's my wholes, tenths. Don't like how I did that in the middle. Hundredths, thousands. Okay. I like to abbreviate the words. I tell my class to write T, THS, lowercase. That's tenths. Hundredths would be H, THS, and thousands would be TH, THS. So, even abbreviating the words is perfectly acceptable. So, 527 thousandths is spoken as 527 thousandths. So this, how it relates to fractions, we'll talk about that in the next lesson. Just want you to go through and look at, just identify these or relate these to decimals. Put the words into numbers and put the numbers into words. So if you haven't completed the page yet, I would stop the video, complete the page, and then come back to compare your answers. So the first thing you should always recognize, whenever there's the word and, always circle it. Put a decimal point above it. Therefore, you will not make this mistake of forgetting it. The other thing to notice is, note when a word ending has a THS. That tells you right away that I'm going to be dealing with decimals, and that the decimal point, the word and, must be somewhere in the sentence. So 307 hundredths. Well, remind yourself, where is my hundredths position? So I'm pretty confident that you can identify 300 no problem. So make your think track as, if I have to go to hundredths, right away just do this, decimal point, tenths, hundredths. I always call that a skeleton sentence in my classroom. So you now know, fresh in your head, I know that hundredths is going to be my second place value. So that's where my digit's going to have to go. So 307 hundredths. Well, I already identified this as hundredths. So my 7 has to go there. What am I going to put here? A placeholder, a 0. If you don't make that mental note to go decimal point, tenths, hundredths, many of you would end up with this. You would see the 7, just a plain old 7, and you would think in my answer it would be 7. But that would be not correct. Okay, so I see and 45 thousandths, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I know that my ending digit has to be in the thousandths place. 15 and 45 thousandths. Well, I know that my 5 has to end there. What's going to go here? A placeholder. This placeholder pushes the fraction over, or the decimal over. If you don't make the mental note of thousandths, chances are you would have written 15 and 45. You would have said thousandths. That's not the thousandths place. Tenths, hundredths. 218 and 4 thousandths. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 200 and 4 thousandths. Well, my 4 has to be in the thousandths place. So what has to go here and here? Placeholders. 2 thousandths. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Now, what's different between this question and the first 3? There's no whole numbers. There's no and. So as long as you recognized that THS represents decimals, you didn't need the word and because there was no whole numbers to separate it. So 2 thousandths. And now I need 2 decimal points. 67 and 631 thousandths. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Just get your mindset into recognizing how many places away from the decimal is my answer going to be. It has to be 3 places away from the decimal. And thousandths. And tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 67, that's my whole number. This is the nearest whole, 7. This is the whole. 631 thousandths. 631 thousandths. 12 thousandths. decimal point, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. If you do not, I cannot stress enough, if you do not make this thing track, chances are you would write 12 thousandths and just rush and move along. It's not correct. You have to make sure you have that place value to push it to the thousandths place, because if not, this is just the hundredths, but this is thousandths. 49 and 99 thousandths. 49 and tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 99 thousandths. 5 and 845 thousandths. 5 and 845 thousandths. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Here's my 5. 845 thousandths. 8 thousandths. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Do I put my 8 there? It says 8, and my last zero is in the thousandths place. Is that correct? No. You don't have to have a 0 in the thousandths place. They want an 8 in the thousandths place. 10 and 602 thousandths. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 10, 602 thousandths. 600, decimal place, a 2 right on the kitty's paw there. 602 thousandths. 3 thousandths. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. You have to put that decimal point. If you just do this, that's not correct. Without the decimal point, that looks like the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place. You have to recognize that THS means you have to put that decimal, whether the word and is there or not. So the same for the bottom 4 questions. Okay, recognize where your place is. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. My last word is going to be thousandths. Look at the number. It's 35. And then what's the last name? I always think of the decimal as being the last name. 35 is the first name. What's the last name? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 35 thousandths. THS. Okay, here's my name. 89. And, cannot forget that word. And then I move over 3 places. Decimal point, blank, blank, blank. So what's decimal point? Blank, blank, blank. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 89 and 4 thousandths. THS. Okay. 324. And, do not forget and. Blank, blank, blank. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 8 thousandths. And then our last one. 72 and 45 thousandths. Okay. So that is page 23. This was just identifying the names of the place values. Make that think track as many times as you can. Okay. The next page I want us to go to is, let's go to page 35 first. We'll look at 35 and 36. They're quick. I'm not going to go over every single question. Look at page 35 and 36 first. Okay, I have a couple thoughts on the top of the page. Actually, I guess I shouldn't show you the answers first. Okay. What I do want to, what you do have to recognize from this is that we just mentioned in the previous videos, or when we were talking about labeling place values, is that fractions and decimals are similar. Fractions and decimals are similar. Can you tell me, can you tell me how they are similar? They both represent parts of a whole. Okay? Parts of a whole. That is the key point. Okay, when you have a fraction, say you have 4/10. I'm saying that I have, oops, sorry about that, cut it off. This is saying I have 4 parts out of 10 possible whole parts. So if I have a pack of 10 cookies and there's 4 left, I have 4/10. I have part of the whole pack. And then the same with fractions. 4/10 equals 4/10 fractions equals 4/10 in decimals. You know, we were talking about money. I don't have my whole. My whole would be over here. That would be the ones place. I have 4 parts. I have to get 6 more parts before I get to a whole, because we move in groups of 10. That's why this is tenths or hundredths or thousands. Those are all multiples of 10. So in order for me to get to a whole amount, I would have to get 6 more parts of something. So I have 4 parts. I do not have a whole. Okay, and then this sheet, I'm just going to do one example and then you can complete the rest. They want you to count the different parts of the flag. So right away, you might as well just go ahead and label it now. Okay, you're going to have to do it over here, but just show it over here. I have shaded parts. How many total parts of my flag are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you're talking about relating fractions and decimals, you're mostly going to always be out of either 10 or 100. I have 3 shaded parts out of 10. How many white parts do you have? 2 out of 10. How many dotted parts? 4 out of 10. And how many stripes? 1 out of 10. So you would just take this and write it into the chart. Shaded would be 3/10. And then how do you show 3/10? Well, remind yourself, what does this mean? Ones, THS, tenths, HTHS is hundredths, THS is thousands, tenths, hundredths, thousands. I have tenths, so my 3 would be in the tenths place. Okay, you can work to complete that. So I'm going to show you the answer key, but I would pause the video, make sure you finish the page, and then I will show you the answers. And then here's the answer key. Okay, now for pages 36, it's going to be the same thinking. Okay, so exactly the same connections, the same questioning. So I'm going to show you the answer key. So pause the video. Make sure you complete this page first. And I will show you the answer key. Okay, and then we're going to go back to page 18 and 19. Okay, and I'm going to show you the answer keys for 18 and 19. So make sure you stop the video, you complete the pages. Okay, so this is page 18. you're just going to match the picture. I'll do one with you. Just like a little puzzle. You're going to match the picture. So again, these are all out of 10. A whole amount equals 10. Right. One whole equals 10 parts. I have 4 parts out of 10. So therefore, I have 4 tenths. 4 tenths look like 4 out of 10. And then I find 4 tenths down there. Tenths equal 10 parts. That's why it is called a base 10 math system, if you remember from class. So I'm going to show you the answers to page 18. And I'm going to show you here's the question page, wrong one, sorry. Here is the question page. I don't have 19. Where's 19? Oh, there it is. So here is 19. Exact same thinking, exactly everything that we've just talked about. Make sure you stop to complete the page, and I will show you the answers. Okay. The biggest point to connect is that fractions and decimals are similar because they both show parts of a whole. Parts of a whole. All right, so we got through a lot of pages. Thank you for sticking with all the paper turning. As long as you get that, understand that fractions and decimals both represent parts of a whole, and you remind yourself of what are the place values, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, you will be in good standing.